Hemos preparado para ti, en exclusiva, un audiolibro con la peculiaridad de que escucharás un capítulo cada día. Este audiolibro está dividido por capítulos y hoy escucharás el capítulo 1, mañana escucharás el capítulo 2 y así hasta completar todos los capítulos de este audiolibro en este video. Yo te reto a escuchar un capítulo cada día de este audiolibro y a escribir en los comentarios: reto capítulo 1, reto capítulo 2, reto capítulo 3 y así hasta completar el reto. Recuerda, el camino del inglés es dedicación, esfuerzo y paciencia. Empecemos.
A day to remember. Santa and Juan walk through the terminal in Logan Airport in Boston without saying a word to each other. Juan has checked in his suitcases and has one carry-on with him. He is getting ready to board a flight to California for a short-term project he is working on. Well, I guess this is where we say goodbye, says Santa with a sigh. Have a good flight. Thanks, replies Juan quietly. He gives her a hug. Really, I don't know what I would do without you. Thanks for coming to the airport with me. You know how nervous I get before a flight. Santa forces a smile and hands him his coat. Here, don't forget this. She turns and starts to walk away. Santa, can you hold on a few minutes? My flight isn't leaving just yet. Santa looks back. I gotta go. I'm gonna be late for work. That wasn't quite true, but she couldn't think of any other excuse to leave at that moment. Please, I have something I have to say to you, and it can't wait till I get back from my trip. Please. Okay, what is it? You've got 2 minutes, she says, looking at her watch impatiently. Listen, I know you're mad at me about, well, everything that's happened over the last 10 years. Maybe even longer. What makes you think that? Santa asks sarcastically, raising one eyebrow. Juan looks down and nods. Of course, I deserved that. I just want to say that I'm really sorry for, everything, and Santa rolls her eyes. Everything? You will have to be specific. Are you referring to the times you used me and broke my heart? Or the fact that you are now dating the woman who ruined my life? Shall I go on? No, please don't. I know how much I've hurt you. I just want you to know that I'm going to be different from now on. Melissa and I broke up. I realize now that you are the one for me. You have always been there for me. I just never realized how perfect we were together. Oh, so Melissa dumped you, so now you want me back? This sounds familiar. Talk to me when you get back from your trip. I'm sure you will have found someone else by then. No, it's not like that. I broke up with Melissa over a month ago. I just didn't say anything to you because I didn't want you to think I was just using you again. But now I'm sure about whom I want to be with. It's you. It's always been you. I was just too stupid to realize it. Do you think you could ever love me again? Santa's heart begins beating fast, but she stays calm. "Look," she says, "you seem a bit confused. Why don't you go on your business trip and take those 3 months to think about what you really want and see if you still feel the same way about me when you get back? I just don't want to go through what I went through the last time. We're at the airport. Let's not do this now." "I wanted to wait until I got back, but something tells me I have to do this now. I don't want to get back from California and realize that I'm too late and that I missed my chance." He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a ring. "I bought this for you 2 weeks ago. I've been carrying it around in my pocket, waiting for the right time. This may not be the right time, but I have to say it. I love you, Santa, and I want to marry you. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me for all the times I've hurt you and love me again, I swear I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you." Santa stands there for a moment, stunned. She has been waiting for over 10 years to hear that. Since the day she dropped her lunch on the floor in the high school cafeteria, she had fantasized about Juan proposing to her. All the other kids had laughed, but Juan had calmly picked up her lunch tray and placed his sandwich on it. "Do you like grilled cheese?" he'd asked, as if nothing had happened. "I don't, but my mom packed one anyway. You can have it if you like." She realized later that he had lied just to make her feel better about eating it. Since then, they had dated and broken up at least 4 times, but he had never told her he loved her. "Will you marry me?" Juan continues. "I understand if you need to think about it, and if the answer is no, I'll understand that too. I know this is sudden, and as I mentioned before, I had planned to tell you when I got back, but all of a sudden I feel like I just can't get on that plane without telling you how I feel." "Yes!" Santa screams in her head. "What do you think? I've been in love with you since I was 16. People around them are now whispering to each other and trying not to stare at the couple. She finally manages to speak. "Look, Juan, this is just a bit overwhelming. Please, put the ring back in your pocket. I need some more time to take all this in. I don't want you to miss your flight." "To hell with the flight. I can get another flight. I can get another job. Just say the word and I'll cancel my flight right now." "Don't be silly," says Santa, shaking her head and smiling. "I'm not going to give you an answer here at the airport anyway. Just get on that plane and we'll talk when you get back, okay?" They give each other a long, tight hug. "I'm gonna fly back every weekend so we can hang out," Juan promises. "You better." Santa looks at him and laughs. "Go, or you're gonna miss your flight." Okay, replies Juan, laughing. "See you this weekend." Santa wipes a tear from her eye as she watches him hurry off quickly to catch his flight. She looks at her watch. It's 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday. 3.5 days till she can see him again. As she exits the airport terminal, she is overcome with emotion and begins to sob with sheer joy. She walks up to a line of cabs waiting for passengers and gets into one. The cab driver looks at her, surprised. You okay, miss? She laughs and wipes her tears with a tissue from her handbag. I couldn't be better. I woke up this morning and had no idea that today the man I have loved and pined for over 10 years would propose to me. I don't think my life will ever be the same again. The cab driver smiles and nods. That's wonderful, miss. We all have days that change our lives forever. For you, September 11, 2001 will be one of those days. So, where can I take you on this fine morning? To the reader. For those of you who are not aware of this, on the morning of September 11th, 2001, at around 8 a.m., 2 passenger planes took off from Logan Airport in Boston, bound for Los Angeles. They were hijacked by terrorists and crashed into the World Trade Center in New York City. We don't know if Juan was in one of those planes, but either way, it will be a day to remember for Santa. Michelle's weekend. Michelle had a difficult week at the office. She was very glad that the weekend had finally begun. She had to work until 8 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, and there was still one more thing she needed to complete on the weekend before Monday. She decided that she would take care of it on Sunday night. She woke up at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, took a shower, and went to the gym to work out. After that, she had a quick breakfast at home, checked the news on the internet, and replied to her emails. For lunch, she met some friends at a small cafe where they talked about the week, and she gave them an update about her relationship with Alex. She told them that she would be visiting her parents in New Jersey on Sunday and that Alex would come with her for the first time. Her friends told her not to worry and that everything would work out. In the afternoon, she went to the supermarket and shopped for groceries. She bought chicken, pasta, lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, and cucumber. She also bought pasta sauce and salad dressing. Since she is trying to lose weight, she didn't buy any ice cream or potato chips. She bought some bananas, oranges, apples, grapes, and strawberries instead. After she got home, she marinated the chicken and put it in the refrigerator so that she would be able to cook it in the oven later. At 5 p.m., she met Alex and they went to their French class together. The topic of that day was the subjunctive, which is very difficult for English speakers. The only way to learn it is to practice it as often as possible. So she and Alex had been doing plenty of written exercises using the subjunctive. After the class, they went home to Michelle's house to watch a movie. Michelle put the chicken in the oven and opened a bottle of wine for them to enjoy during the movie. The movie was a French film called The Closet, starring Gérard Depardieu and Daniel Auteuil. As it was a great comedy, they laughed a lot but they also learned plenty of new French words and expressions. On Sunday morning, Michelle and Alex took the train from New York to New Jersey, where her parents live. The trip took about an hour. Her parents picked them up at the train station and drove them home. Michelle's mother had prepared a delicious Sunday lunch for them. They started with some delicious appetizers, followed by a juicy roast chicken with sautéed vegetables and mashed potatoes. It was delicious. For dessert, they had warm chocolate cake with fruit and ice cream. Everything seemed to be going well until they began chatting after lunch. Michelle's father wanted to know what Alex did for a living. Alex explained that he wanted to be a writer and was looking for a publisher to publish a book he had written. "What's the book about?" asked Michelle's father. "It's about a man who loses his job as vice president of a large corporation," replied Alex proudly. "He drives across the country and into Mexico, where he discovers that his true purpose in life is to sell deodorant." Michelle's parents looked a bit surprised and were silent for a few seconds. The same thought was going through both their minds. If their daughter married this guy, she would have to earn the money for the two of them. Alex added that for the moment, he made his money selling things on the internet. On the way home, they talked about the visit. Alex didn't think it went very well. "Did you see their faces when I told them about my book?" Michelle laughed. She didn't think there was any reason to worry. When you become a famous author one day, they'll realize what a brilliant writer you are. I think they were more worried when I told them you were not Jewish. They talked and laughed on the way home. It had been a great weekend overall, and they decided to stop for dinner at their favorite Chinese restaurant. Life really is strange, Caroline decided, as a tear trickled down into the corner of her mouth. Just when she thought it held nothing for her, now, when she was clinging to the railings of a road bridge, 100 feet above the estuary, ready to jump, why should it be now that she was aware of a comforting, warm summer breeze brushing around her bare midriff and the hem of her jeans, sifting through her long, fine blonde hair? And why should she now notice a dazzling flock of seagulls soaring in the clear blue sky, at home in their element? In all her 19 years, Caroline couldn't remember being so struck by the beauty of these simple things. Trust her to notice when it was too late. And it was too late, because she had made her mind up. She had to do something to take the pain away, the pain of abandonment by her mother and years of negligence in various foster homes. Nothing she had tried so far worked for long enough. The drugs, the lousy boyfriends, nothing worked. But this seemed guaranteed to do the job. She sighed and loosened her grip. The pressure of the railings eased along her back and legs, and glancing down at the churning, muddy waters below, she breathed in, closed her eyes, and let go. "Hello there," a voice from behind her shouted. Startled, Caroline fumbled and regained her grip on the rails, then turned her head sharply to see who was there. She saw a short, dark-haired, middle-aged woman in a long, flowery dress looking up at her. "Go away," Caroline hissed, trying to focus ahead. "You put me off. Go away and leave me alone." "Why are you up there?" the woman said, shielding her eyes from the sun with her hand. "I'm painting the railings for winter," snapped Caroline. "Why the hell do you think, you dozy cow? I'm going to kill myself, can't you tell?" "Oh, I can see that," the woman said, unperturbed. "I mean, why would you want to?" Caroline rolled her eyes. "What business is it of yours?" she said, feeling the pressure of the railings once more digging into her back as her grip tightened in anger. The woman dropped her hand and seemed to be inspecting the strap across the front of her open-toed sandals. "It's none of my business, I suppose, in that I don't even know you. But I can't help thinking it's a terrible thing to do on such a fine summer's day." "What difference does the weather make?" The woman shrugged her shoulders. "Well, you look like you would still have quite a few summer days to look forward to, in the normal way of things, and it seems a shame that you won't be here to appreciate them." "That's so lame. Don't jump. It's such a nice day. As if that's a good enough excuse," Caroline sneered. The woman looked hurt. "I didn't mean it like that. You must have good cause to be up there after all." Caroline didn't respond, but the woman carried on anyway. "I'd like to think there is something worth coming down for, but only you can decide if life is worth living. I'm just telling you how I see it. If you could see it my way, you wouldn't want to do it for sure. But I'm not you, am I?" Caroline frowned. "You're talking rubbish." "Maybe," the woman agreed. "Or maybe I know what you're going through, because I've been there myself." "Yeah, right," Caroline thought, as she turned and looked at the woman again, who was smiling encouragingly at her. Was she lying? Could she really know anything about her pain? Of course, it was obviously a ploy to get her attention and stop her from jumping. But she was intrigued. She wanted to know what this woman could say that could possibly make a difference. "Okay, you've got me. I'll buy it. Give me your best shot." Over the next hour, the woman, whose name turned out to be Joyce, talked, and Caroline talked too. It seemed easy with Joyce. She cared. She'd had a hard life and knew all about the pain, and for the first time ever, Caroline felt that she had been listened to, and more importantly, understood. Joyce didn't have the answer to all her problems, but she helped her find a few good reasons for continuing. She was halfway down the railings, determined, with Joyce's offer of help, to put her life together, when the bridge security guard drew up in his little white van with the orange flashing light. "Get down from there," he growled at Caroline. "I thought I told you last time that I didn't want to see you here again." "You mean you've done this before?" said Joyce, eyebrows raised. Caroline looked sheepish. "Last week. I didn't have the nerve to go through with it then. But I would have this time if it hadn't been for you." "It's a good job I came along then," smiled Joyce. "Get a move on. Haven't you got a home to go to?" shouted the guard. "Actually, yes, I have now." Caroline grinned, reaching for the hand that Joyce had proffered, when suddenly she felt herself slipping. She grabbed wildly for the railings, and in that moment of scrabbling uncertainty, realized that she didn't want to die. She had just been afraid to live, but not anymore. She regained her footing and climbed down to a relieved Joyce and a truculent security guard. Life really is strange, Caroline decided, as for the first time she started looking forward to the years ahead.
We need to leave the icy cold waters of the North Atlantic and go thousands of miles back to the dry heat of the Nile Valley in Egypt. It is here, perhaps, that we can find the start of the mystery of the Titanic Here, in the year 1910, in the great city of Cairo, one day, a British Egyptologist called Douglas Murray was staying in Cairo when he was contacted by a man he did not know, a strange American adventurer. The American had something unusual to offer the British archaeologist, something that was certain to thrill him. A beautiful ancient Egyptian mummy case containing the mummy of the high priestess from the temple of the god Amun-Ra. The object was over 3,000 years old, but in beautiful condition, gold with bright paintings on it and a portrait of the priestess. The American did not want a lot of money for it, and Murray was delighted. He gave the man a check. The check was never cashed. That evening, the American who had sold the case died. For his part, Murray arranged to have the treasure sent back to Britain. However, it was not long before he learnt more about the beautiful mummy. Apparently, it had been discovered in a funeral chamber in a dry part of the Nile Valley. On the walls of the chamber, there were inscriptions which warned of terrible consequences to anyone who broke into the tomb. Murray was pretty skeptical about this warning until a few days later, when a gun he was holding exploded in his hand, shattering his arm. The arm had to be amputated. Murray decided to come back to England. On the return journey, 2 of his companions died from mysterious causes. 2 servants who handled the mummy died soon afterwards. By this time, Murray had decided that there really was a spell on the mummy, and he decided to get rid of it. A lady he knew said she would like it, so he gave it to her. Shortly afterwards, the lady's mother died, and her fiancé left her. She herself caught a strange disease. She tried to give the mummy case back to Douglas Murray, but naturally, Murray did not want to have anything more to do with the cursed object. In the end, it was presented to the British Museum. It was presumed that that would be the end of the story, but it was not. Even in the museum, the mummy continued to cause strange events. A museum photographer died shortly after taking pictures of the new exhibit, and a curator also died for no apparent reason. In the end, the governors of the British Museum, not usually considered to be frivolous people, decided to get rid of the mummy. They decided to give it to a museum in New York. At the start of April 1912, arrangements for the transfer were complete, and the mummy began its journey to its new home. Unfortunately, or was it fortunately, the New York Museum never received its new exhibit. For when it sank, one of the objects in the strong room of the Titanic was the mummy case of the priestess of the Temple of Amun-Ra, or so they say.
Online dating. Charlotte turns on her computer and opens her email. She has a new message. She smiles. It is from Tall and Handsome 26, a man Charlotte met on findnewlove.com, an online dating website. She really hopes to find a new love, and Tall and Handsome 26 could be the right man for her. Charlotte reads the email. Tall and Handsome 26 asks Charlotte if she would like to meet in person on Friday. He tells her his real name is Logan. Charlotte considers meeting Logan. She only chats with Logan on the computer, but she really likes him. He is smart and funny. They are the same age, share many interests, and live in the same city. She does not know what he looks like, but she enjoys the mystery of a blind date. Charlotte replies to Logan, Hi, Logan. My real name is Charlotte. They agree to meet at Charlotte's favorite restaurant at 7:30 p.m. on Friday. They plan to meet beside the fountain in front of the restaurant. On Friday, Charlotte prepares for her date. She puts on a dress and curls her hair. She feels nervous and excited. When Charlotte arrives at the restaurant, she sees a tall man by the fountain. She cannot see his face. That must be Logan, Charlotte thinks. She walks toward the man. Logan? Charlotte asks as the tall man turns around. She sees Logan's face. She is surprised. Charlotte Jones? Logan exclaims. He realizes he knows her. Charlotte Jones and Logan Miller dated in high school. I cannot believe it is you. Charlotte and Logan laugh and hug. Well, Charlotte thinks to herself, sometimes you can find an old love too. The end. Let's meet the Dobson family. Mark and Daniela Dobson are a young couple who live in Miami. Miami is a big city located in South Florida. Mark works as a manager at a large bank in downtown Miami. Daniela works as a web designer. She receives contracts from various companies to build and maintain their websites. Mark was born and grew up in the United States. His parents and grandparents moved to the United States from Europe in the 1940s during and after the Second World War. His family settled in New York, where he grew up and completed his education. Shortly after graduating from college with a degree in business administration, he moved to Miami, where he got a job at a pharmaceutical company. In 1995, Mark met Daniela at work. She was assigned to improve the company website. One day, when Mark was paying for his lunch at the company cafeteria, he noticed Daniela sitting alone at a table. He walked over, introduced himself, and asked if he could sit with her. They began to have lunch together every day. As they got to know more about each other, they fell in love. Daniela was born in Manizales, Colombia. She grew up there, but after she graduated from university with a degree in computer science, her family moved to the United States. In 1998, after having dated Mark for 3 years, Mark and Daniela were married. They rented a small apartment in Pompano Beach and began to save money to buy a house. Daniela loves life in the United States. She learned as much English as she could by taking English classes, watching TV, and practicing with her American friends. Although she speaks English well, there are some words and expressions that she still doesn't understand. Mark is always happy to help her improve. Mark doesn't speak a word of Spanish. Now that he has married Daniela, it is something he would love to learn. He knows it won't be easy, as he is very busy with work and has very little time to relax and enjoy himself. However, since most members of Daniela's family don't speak English, he is determined to learn enough Spanish to get by. Love is in the air. Every summer, Penny travels to a family reunion barbecue. Penny is never excited, and this year is no different. She dreads the drive. She does not like talking to her relatives, and she does not like the smell of hamburgers. Penny is a vegetarian. When Penny arrives, she sees lots of familiar faces. It is July, and Uncle Vernon is wearing a sweater. Uncle Vernon is always cold. It's very mysterious. She sees her cousin Polly. Polly has 6 children. The youngest one screams. Then the oldest one screams. Polly's children are always screaming. She sees many of her other cousins in the field playing softball. They play a softball game every year, and it always ends in a big argument. Penny wonders again why they never solve it. Then Penny sees an incredibly handsome man. She stares at him. He catches her staring. He smiles and walks over to her. Penny is very nervous. She is nervous because a handsome man is walking up to her, and she is nervous because this handsome man might be her cousin. The man sticks out his hand and says, "Hi, I'm Paul." "Hi, I'm Penny," Penny says. "Are we related?" Paul laughs. "No, we are not related. I am Vernon's nurse. He is sick and needs to keep me close by. But he did not want to miss this barbecue." "Oh, thank goodness," Penny says, and then blushes. Penny always blushes when she is nervous, embarrassed, or hot, and right now she is all 3. Handsome Paul laughs and says, "Would you like to go get a hamburger with me? They smell delicious." Penny smiles. "Sure, I love hamburgers." The end. Allison and Joel enjoy going out to Italian restaurants. They love to eat pasta, share a dessert, and have espresso. Allison and Joel's anniversary is coming up. Joel wants to plan a night out at an Italian restaurant in town. He calls a restaurant to make a reservation, but they have no tables available. He calls another restaurant, but they have no availability either. Joel thinks and paces around the house. He knows that Allison loves Italian food more than anything else. He knows that nothing makes her happier. But the only 2 Italian places in town are too busy. Joel has an idea. What if he cooks Allison a homemade Italian meal? Joel pictures it. He puts down a fancy tablecloth, lights some candles, and plays romantic Italian music. Allison loves when Joel makes an effort. There's only one thing. Joel isn't a good cook. In fact, Joel is a terrible cook. When he tries to make breakfast, he burns the eggs. When he tries to make lunch, he screws up the salad. When he tries to make dinner, even the neighbors smell how bad it is. Joel has another idea. If he calls up one of the restaurants before Allison gets home and orders takeout, he can serve that food instead of his bad cooking. The day arrives. Allison is still at work while Joel orders the food, picks it up, and brings it back home. As he lays down the place settings, lights the candles, and puts the music on, Allison walks in. "Happy anniversary," Joel tells Allison. He shows off their romantic dinner setting, smiling. Allison looks confused. "Our anniversary is tomorrow, Joel." Joel pauses, looks at the calendar, and realizes she's right. He looks back at her. "I guess it's always good to practice," he says. The end. Darling loves basketball. She loves everything about basketball. Darling always looks forward to basketball practice. She enjoys the workout. She enjoys the competition. She enjoys the time with her teammates. Coach always starts practice the same way. They run 10 laps around the gym and then stretch out. They then practice shots. Darling usually sinks most of hers. Then the coach introduces new drills. They practice the plays they use in games. Darling concentrates and does her best. She works hard, and her teammates appreciate her for it. She always has a positive attitude and encourages her teammates to work harder and do their best. But today, Darling twists her ankle and falls down. She cries out in pain, which is unusual for Darling. She rarely cries. Everyone rushes over to see if she is okay. One of her teammates runs to get ice for her ankle. Ice helps with the swelling. The others help her off the court, and she sits down to rest. The coach asks Darling if she is okay. She says, "I am fine. Ankles heal." The coach shakes her head. "Darling," she says, "as usual, I am impressed with your attitude and team spirit. In honor of Darling, we should all go get ice cream." So, the whole team climbs aboard the school bus, and the coach takes them all out for ice cream. As she licks her mint chocolate chip ice cream cone, Darling says, "Today, I love basketball practice more than ever." The end. Let's meet the Dobson family. Mark and Daniela Dobson are a young couple who live in Miami. Miami is a big city located in South Florida. Mark works as a manager at a large bank in downtown Miami. Daniela works as a web designer. She receives contracts from various companies to build and maintain their websites. Mark was born and grew up in the United States. His parents and grandparents moved to the United States from Europe in the 1940s during and after the Second World War. His family settled in New York, where he grew up and completed his education. Shortly after graduating from college with a degree in business administration, he moved to Miami, where he got a job at a pharmaceutical company. In 1995, Mark met Daniela at work. She was assigned to improve the company website. One day, when Mark was paying for his lunch at the company cafeteria, he noticed Daniela sitting alone at a table. He walked over, introduced himself, and asked if he could sit with her. They began to have lunch together every day. As they got to know more about each other, they fell in love. Daniela was born in Manizales, Colombia. She grew up there, but after she graduated from university with a degree in computer science, her family moved to the United States. In 1998, after having dated Mark for 3 years, Mark and Daniela were married. They rented a small apartment in Pompano Beach and began to save money to buy a house. Daniela loves life in the United States. She learned as much English as she could by taking English classes, watching TV, and practicing with her American friends. Although she speaks English well, there are some words and expressions that she still doesn't understand. Mark is always happy to help her improve. Mark doesn't speak a word of Spanish. Now that he has married Daniela, it is something he would love to learn. He knows it won't be easy, as he is very busy with work and has very little time to relax and enjoy himself. However, since most members of Daniela's family don't speak English, he is determined to learn enough Spanish to get by. Pets. Jacob takes the ladder and leans it against the tree. He starts to climb up and tries not to look down. He cannot believe he is doing this. His neighbor's cat climbed up the tree in front of the house and cannot climb down. Now, normally, Jacob would not offer to rescue a cat in a tree. He is afraid of heights, ladders, and cats. But his neighbor, Anita, is gorgeous, and rescuing her cat would be the perfect way to be a hero and get her attention. He is almost there. The ladder begins to shake, and he looks down and realizes how high he is. He looks at his beautiful neighbor and decides that it is not worth it. He screams loudly, "Help! I'm falling!" The cat suddenly jumps from the tree onto his head. They both fall to the ground and the cat runs to her owner. Anita runs to Jacob, who is lying on the ground. "Thank you so much," she says. "That was very heroic. I hope you are not hurt." "It was nothing," he whispers. "By the way, if it's not too much trouble, would you be so kind as to call me an ambulance?" Sports. The team is exhausted. They sit in silence in the locker room, waiting for their coach. It is halftime, and they don't know what to do. They are losing 28-0. The coach staggers in. He stinks of smoke and whiskey, and his shirt has a big yellow stain on it. He raises his hand and yells, "Silence! I cannot understand anything if you all talk at the same time." The players look at each other confused. No one has said anything. "Now, everyone be seated and listen to me. We can still win this game. Just keep defending and, scoring. That's the beauty of basketball. A 28-point lead is nothing. Now, if you gentlemen will excuse me." He walks over to the restroom, goes in, and shuts the door. The players hear a loud thud and assume that he has passed out. No one says a word. They look at their captain, He stands up and speaks to the team. Well, we should have mentioned that we were playing soccer and not basketball. But I guess it's too late now. So, what can I say? Let's go out there and do our best to limit the humiliation, okay? Introducing yourself. Hello, my name is Anna. I am 25 years old. I live in Miami, Florida, with my husband and 2 children. I have 1 son in kindergarten and 1 daughter in 1st grade. They both attend public school. My husband is a mechanic. On weekends, he works at a restaurant as a dishwasher. The restaurant usually gets more customers on weekends, so they need extra people to wash dishes. Introducing yourself. Hello, my name is Anna. I am 25 years old. I live in Miami, Florida, with my husband and 2 children. I have 1 son in kindergarten and 1 daughter in 1st grade. They both attend public school. My husband is a mechanic. On weekends, he works at a restaurant as a dishwasher. The restaurant usually gets more customers on weekends, so they need extra people to wash dishes. Work. Carolina writes an email to her friend about work. Hi, Christina. I am sorry I haven't called you for so long. How are you? How is your new apartment? I have been very busy at work. I arrive at the office at 7 a.m. and leave at around 6:30 p.m. I just get half an hour for lunch and a 5-minute break in the morning and in the afternoon. I am very tired when I get home, so I just eat, watch some television, and go to bed. In the office, I am on the phone all day, listening to customer complaints and entering them into our computer system. At the end of the day, I have to write a summary of all the calls I received during the day and give my boss a status on the complaints that are not yet resolved. I do not know how much longer I can do this. I need a vacation, or even better, I need another job. I'll call you this weekend. Carolina. I don't feel well. Andreas is not feeling well. He was at a party last night and got home at 3 a.m. He has a headache and feels nauseous. He had too much to drink and ate too much shrimp. He gets out of bed and realizes that he is not wearing any pants. He looks around but cannot find them. He goes into the bathroom and looks around for his pills. He cannot find them. He hears voices. He walks out of the bedroom, goes down the stairs and into the kitchen. There are people talking and laughing in the kitchen. He wonders who else came back home with him last night. Then he realizes something. He doesn't have stairs in his apartment. He is in someone else's home.
Renata walks into the restaurant. She sees her boyfriend Diego sitting at the table near the window and smiles. He sees her and gets up. They hug and sit down. They call the waiter and order 2 glasses of wine. He looks nervous and begins to talk. Look, I know this is awkward, but Renata interrupts him. You don't have to tell me. I know how you feel. I was so excited when you called to invite me to lunch. I have missed you too. Not seeing each other for a couple of months was the best thing for our relationship. I realize now that you are the one for me. Let's forget the past. Things will be different from now on. I promise you. Diego takes a deep breath and takes a sip of wine. Actually, I invited you to lunch because I didn't want to tell you over the phone. I'm sorry, but I've met someone else.
Money. The bank teller counts the money in front of George and hands it to him. Here you are, sir. That is everything you have in your account. I have closed it as you requested. You should receive a confirmation in the mail. Have a nice day. George looks at the money and takes a deep breath. It is everything he has saved. He lost his job a month ago and cannot find anything else. He has to use all the money from his savings account to feed his family. They were evicted from their apartment 3 days ago and now live with relatives. The money is all he has to survive until he gets another job. He carefully puts the money in his coat pocket and walks to the exit holding it tight. I will guard this money with my life, he whispers to himself. 3 men wearing masks enter the bank. One pulls out a gun, fires a shot in the air and yells, "Everyone stay calm! This is a robbery! No one will get hurt if you do exactly as you are told." Traffic. Paul looks at his watch. He is worried. He has 15 minutes to get to his interview, and he is stuck in a traffic jam. He looks around. Everyone is honking their horns and trying to move into the lane that seems to be moving faster. They have barely moved in the last 30 minutes. Paul looks out of the window at the people walking past him on the sidewalk. An old woman walking with a cane passed him 15 minutes ago. He cannot be late for this interview. He grabs his suitcase, opens the door, and gets out of the car. He shuts the door and begins to walk quickly down the street. All the cars behind him begin to honk and the drivers start yelling at him. One yells, "Hey, where do you think you're going? You can't just leave your car. Hey, come back!" At the airport. Miguel is standing in line at the airport. It is his turn, and he walks to the counter. The lady at the counter asks him for his ID, and she checks his flight details. Yes, he is confirmed on Flight 103 from Los Angeles to Hawaii at noon. He does not have any bags to check in, but has one small carry-on bag that he will take with him. The agent prints out his boarding pass. The airport security officers walk past him with a big dog. The dog is sniffing around people's luggage, trying to detect drugs and explosives. Miguel is relieved when he sees the dog walk past him. Suddenly, the dog turns and begins to sniff his bag and bark. The security officer looks at Miguel. "Sir, please bring your bag and come with me." Family. My name is Sangeeta. I am 11. I live in New Delhi, India with my father, mother, 2 brothers, and 3 sisters. My grandparents also live with us. In India, family is very important. It is common to have grandparents, aunts, uncles, and/or cousins living in the same house. My aunts, uncles, and cousins also live nearby. We see each other often. My older brother is a computer programmer. Right now, he is in Australia. His company sent him there for 1 year. We all miss him a lot. We write him letters every week. I want him to come home soon. A new home. Francisco stands outside his new house. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the key. He turns the key in the lock and opens the door. He steps into the living room and looks around. The paint is peeling off the walls. There is no furniture. The house is dirty and smells bad. He tries to open a window, but it is broken. The house does not have a kitchen or a bedroom, but there is a microwave on the floor on one side of the room. He wonders if it works. The place looks terrible, but it is all he can afford. He covers his nose and mouth with his hand and opens the bathroom door. It is in bad condition. Introducing yourself. Hello. My name is Anna. I am 25 years old. I live in Miami, Florida, with my husband and 2 children. I have 1 son in kindergarten and 1 daughter in 1st grade. They both attend public school. My husband is a mechanic. On weekends, he works at a restaurant as a dishwasher. The restaurant usually gets more customers on weekends, so they need extra people to wash dishes.